Hi there, it's Michele Theberge, and I wanted to film this video today for two reasons. One, because we're in the middle of, shelter in place here where I live in California because of the coronavirus. So I'm imagining a lot of you are stuck at home right now, not able to work or working from home. And also because my landlord is about to work on the unit upstairs, and so there'll be a lot of debris falling. And even though I had all this set up because I had different studio visits scheduled, studio visits have been canceled indefinitely until we can know we're safe to have more social contact, and B, there's going to be a lot of debris falling down from the construction upstairs, so I need to put away and protect all this artwork that I've set up for various recent studio visits. So here's a virtual studio visit. Welcome! First of all, I just wanted to show you how quiet it is at my building. Normally this parking area is completely full by 9 a.m. and there's so many empty spaces, so it's kind of an interesting time here. This is my studio mate side, so what we're doing while we're supposed to be having social distance is we're just taking turns being in the studio. So today I'm here in the morning and they're here in the afternoon. And then we have our protective stuff, gloves. I have my alcohol. Remember, it should be 70% alcohol to water ratio, and so we just disinfect everything after we leave, so this all the surfaces are clean for each other. And then my homemade hand sanitizer that I made with alcohol, aloe vera, lavender and water, lavender essential oil. Anyway, so what's going on over here? So this is all set out because I was just sort of having a number of studio visits. Some of this you may have seen before, these pieces. These pieces, I'm really liking them, but they don't feel done yet to me. So I'm talking about these three. There's actually four of them. There's one over there on the table in process, but so I'm still trying to figure out, but I have so many other things going that I haven't put my full attention on them. And once I do that, I'm sure it'll be revealed to me what they need. But these are recently finished works on paper. This one is called New Rose. There's a funny story behind this one, or to accompany this one. So on my website right now, and it's going to get changed out, I had the original version, which just had this center area that you see there up to the sort of like the bright pink marks, and there was a lot of space around, and it never felt completely full to me, I'm sorry. So I decided to paint over it, and then I got an email a couple weeks ago from someone who wanted to buy New Rose, and I said, which one are you looking at, the one on Instagram or the one on my website? And this person was interested in the one on my website, and I had to tell them that I had painted on it. So it wasn't what they wanted anymore, which is fine. But anyway, I'm always honored when people are interested in buying my work and reach out. That to say, I also wrote a blog post about this on the mindfulartist.com. It's called The Degas Syndrome. So the story goes that Degas had finished a painting, and I don't know how many years later he went to the collector's home, saw it on the wall, took it off the wall, took it home, and repainted it because he wasn't satisfied with it. And I think that's just sort of natural part of being a creative person, is that you're constantly progressing forward, but your work is sort of a capsule in time of where you were in the past. And so you need to decide whether it's worth it, if you're really going to go into it and rework things, or if you're just going to let them be. So in this case, I decided it was still recent enough that I would go back into it, but a lot of times I just make the decision to move forward It's a tricky one. How do you handle that when you feel like you see a work that you completed and then, you know, may have documented it and put it on your website or shared it, and then what happens later when you feel like you could improve it? This one has featured before. It has this very special spot, so I see it when I first arrive to the studio. From the doorway I can see this one, and I really love this one, and it's just wonderful to have one on this scale, this sort of body scale. So this is a 60 inches by 60 inches. And that's called All Together Now. And it seems very apropos to me at this time because I'm thinking of how right now we're all globally experiencing the same thing, this pandemic. And a lot of people are rallying in a really beautiful way to support the more vulnerable people in their community. And this painting is a representation of our interconnectedness. So it's sort of a community of marks. Interestingly, when I evolve this mark over time, and it's a symbol that doesn't have a literal direct translation. It's sort of a felt symbol, so to speak. But when I was doing an artist talk at the Bedford Gallery, one of the docents said that there was, and I forgot her name, an Aboriginal artist from Australia who does this same mark, and I think it represents people, like a person, like that. The little arc is sort of like, I guess, the arms, or how you would see someone from overhead, maybe, which I thought was beautiful. And I have yet to see this person's work, but I love that we had that sort of collective consciousness connection of coming up with I don't know if it's her own personal symbology or something that is part of the Indigenous Aboriginal cultural lexicon. So over here is my current things I'm working on, Worktable. So this was that other one that I mentioned, part of that series that I'm working on that isn't complete yet. So we'll see how those turn out. And this one's in process to work on paper with watercolor and gouache as the base. And then these marks on top are acrylic. I'm using the acrylic because the watercolor bleeds too much on this paper. And so to get these crisp edges of the marks, I need to use acrylic. And also the viscosity. There's a lot of little subtle things that interplay. The brush, the viscosity of the paint, and all that to create that mark the way I like it. And here's all my colors mixed from another painting that I took it home because I finished it. And this is another rose painting that has many, many layers going on, and I'm gonna build it up as tall as I can, and it's just really fun figuring out how much I can build it up. Sorry about the window reflection. This one's in process also, just in probably very early stages. This one too has been sort of ongoing, lots of things going on here. This one, I'm working with a new type of metal leaf. I forgot what they called this one, but it's got this sort of variegated, multicolored pattern. And I'll tell you what I was inspired by. There's a show right now at the Berkeley Art Museum of the quilts of Rosie Lee Thompkins, and I bought the catalog. And sadly, the Berkeley Art Museum is temporarily closed. Hopefully they'll extend this exhibit so that people can see it once the museum's able to open again. But there was a series of quilts that she used these sort of iridescent fabrics. And I've used a lot of iridescent interference metallics over
many years now, but just seeing what she did just fired me up in a whole new way. And I actually sent an email to the curator because I went to the curator's talk. Elaine Yao is her name, and she's a scholar on Rosie Lee Thompkins. And I just told her how much it inspired me that I couldn't even stay to look at the show after her talk. I just had to get back to the studio immediately. So over here now, well, this one, this is very exciting. This is another big one that I'm working on, and I've been layering on this for over a year on and off, but now it's ready for the marks, and I just started the marks. This is kind of 2 days worth of marks. Not that I spent all day on them because I was working on other things at the same time, but it's a very awkward position. I have to bend way over. I'm not very tall. So just to spare my body, and in fact I have my foam roller here, so I take breaks and I lie because I'm bending over so much. I'll take breaks and open up my neck and chest and shoulders by lying over this foam roller. Anyway, I'm super excited to see where this goes. And this was inspired by this series that I did over the summer at the In Cahoots residency in Northern California. It's a printmaking residency, and I made this plate. It's called a polymer plate that had this radial pattern, and then I printed it over some watercolors. And so the watercolors have this very bold dynamic base in them, and then I did the red radial pattern on top of them, so that was kind of fun. And then here I used it with a different ink that gave me that. This is also sparkly iridescent, if you can see that in this light over a letterpress ground. So I ran it through the press. Those of you who do letterpress, I ran it through the press many times because I needed that sense of depth and layering, and I wasn't quite getting it because as a painter I'm used to getting such rich layered surfaces that running it through the press once or twice didn't feel like enough. But I was most happy with the watercolor grounds to put the letterpress on top of. Anyway, so that inspired this guy. So we will stay posted on my Instagram. I'm showing it as it progresses. Then these were completed a few years ago, so you've probably seen these if you've watched my other studio tours. I'll link them in case you haven't and you're interested in seeing sort of the progression of my work. Sorry about the crinkly. I have Tyvek on the floor to protect it from the paint and the pouring medium, so it makes crinkles when I walk. This one, I'm excited to get working on this one. This has a ground on it, and I'm going to be pouring over it. And then this is a completed work called You Are My Heaven. And then here are some more framed works, and these were in a few shows last year. These are works on paper also. Oh my God, so much reflection, you can't see anything, can you? Well, you can see these on my website in a much better, and I'll have that linked below. But anyway, just to give you an idea. So I hope you found this interesting today, and I'm really curious to know how you're managing in this time of having to keep social distance. I know in my art group, a lot of people were telling me that there's a lot of controversy and they're trying to negotiate with the other artists in their shared spaces about should anyone be going to their studio at all. And I know for me, it's really an important thing for me to be able to do my art practice, especially in stressful or difficult times. So I'm very fortunate in that I can use this space because it's just the three of us here, a couple and myself, and we're just trading off hours. So we're never here at the same time, and we're disinfecting all the touched surfaces for each other. But if I couldn't be here, I would be happy to just, do my watercolors at home on my dining room table. So if you're having to modify your practice in some way, or if you're just choosing to take a break for whatever reason, let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to know how you're managing right now and what it's like in your part of the world, or is your local government putting, stay-in-place orders or whatever, Anyway, we're all in this together, and I'm grateful for this media to connect with you all, because I think the other thing that's really important is to not get isolated at this time. And so we are really blessed to have all these amazing ways to connect. So you can find me on Instagram. I'll be posting there regularly. I'll hopefully be able to just continue to upload videos. Anyway, I'm wishing you all the best. Thank you for watching. If you liked this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to know when my next video comes out, just subscribe and hit the notification bell, and they'll let you know. All right, take it easy.